One major requirement to begin routing traffic to Protective DNS and receiving the protection from the service is authorizing sources to the web application. By adding authorized sources, an organization can open their Protective DNS resolver instance for traffic originating from their own internal or caching resolvers. Before adding and managing sources, it is important to understand what an authorized source is within Protective DNS. Authorized sources are a collection of IP addresses that can access the protective resolver. Organizations can organize their authorized sources through source sets. Source sets are logical grouping of those sources. Source sets can be utilized depending on the organization's structure, geographic location, subcomponents, or office locations. All organizations will need at least one authorized source to properly utilize the Protective DNS service. This is a required step prior to configuring internal destination to Protective DNS. One authorized source is added during the onboarding activities for the customers. To begin adding authorized sources, users must be assigned to the Configuration Management role. To start adding a new source, click the My Organization tab from the Protective DNS dashboard. From here, select the Authorized Sources tab and then click Add New Source. If the button is disabled, that means the user does not have permissions to add a source. Once the user clicks Add New Source, the source information pop-up appears. Fill out source details accordingly with the source information section. The following source information must be provided. Type, whether it is IPv4, IPv6, or an SSE provider. Address, the IP address. As a reminder, only numerals are accepted, which are typically formatted as 4 8-bit fields separated by periods. Source set. This will be logical name for grouping of sources, in which source sets are a collection of those sources. For example, the user might have an office headquarters in Washington, D.C. and an office in Dallas. Creating a source set requires the user to type the new source set name and clicking Create Source Set. To note, CISA highly recommends creating separate source sets for guest networks and security appliances. Description. Here we can type in a description of the intended usage, device type, or traffic source from this IP. It is important to note that users can only add one authorized source at a time, as CIDR blocks are not accepted. The service does not support bulk loading sources to limit chance of incorrect sources being blocked or allowed to an organization's network. After adding all of the required information, click Save. If required fields are missing or an action could not be completed, error help text will appear. Users can also cancel by adding a new set by clicking Cancel. After a successful save, an action banner displays confirmation that the source has been created. It can take up to 2 minutes for registration of new authorized sources. The destination information will populate, and the user can begin routing traffic to Protective DNS.